Okay, so our project or whatever is about police accountability and pretty much about around the Black Lives Matters and whatnot and like what's been going on recently in Ferguson. So
Okay.
I want to know just like offhand, like who are you? Like who do you work for? Like what kind of like sort of like programs that you work with?
I'm the Black Student Union's secretary, and being that I'm the Black Student Union secretary, we work really closely with the Black Lives Matter. I'm one of the originators of the Black Lives Matter on campus, so I worked with them in setting that up and then correlating that and presenting that to the public. So that's pretty much so where my expertise on the Black Lives Matter comes into play.
Okay. And so I guess just going around like that topic or whatever, how do you like what are your feelings about, like, especially like with recent events obviously that's happened in Ferguson and whatnot, like what are your thoughts about that? And
personally, I personally believe it's a societal issue, and if we as a society don't deem it important, then it won't be seen as important. I can go around as a Black African American woman and be like, yes, police discriminate against people of color, but if people of non-color don't recognize that, there's not going to be a change, because it has to be a whole society switch. So in order to improve the situation, we all have to be on the same page that yes, this is a problem.
And I guess, like, do you believe that, so do you think that police should be held accountable for their actions?
Yes, police should definitely be held accountable for their actions, because my thing is, you sworn to serve and protect those, and then you not sworn to protect some. It doesn't work like that. You can't choose who you want to protect and who you don't. And they need to be held to a higher standard. People are always comparing the police department to gangs and thugs and black on black crime, but those same gangs, violence, and thugs, I'm not putting my safety in their hands. I don't call them when I have a problem. I call the police department. And I need for the police department, when they come, to not see my skin color, but to see the issue at hand, the problem at hand.
Cool. I'm just kidding. Let's see here. So I guess really, do you feel that there are a lot of police officers out there who tend to act upon, I guess you can say, people of color just because they're people of color, or just because they're doing the crime and they're just doing their job as a police officer?
Once again, I don't think people do it purposefully. It's a society role. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're conditioned to think that the black boy is the one that's going to rob you. You're conditioned to think that the black girl is the one that's out fighting in the streets. You're conditioned to think that way. And so you go into a career field that involves violence and those people, and then you automatically jump to conclusions. You jump to the conclusion that, okay, this is a black boy in this situation, so he's automatically guilty. And when you should be thinking of it in the sense of the law sense of, okay, innocent until proven guilty. And a lot of police officers, I feel like, come into the situation with their own biases. They might not try to purposefully, but they come into it that way. And then there are those that do it on purpose. Like, there are those that, like, flat out don't care, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it's gonna be. And I'm racist, and I'm okay with my racism.
There are like there's a lot of people out there who think that the way that police officers are taught, like to become police officers, should be taught differently than what they are now, because a lot of people think that it's very systematic, especially like how you said with like the black man, like we automatically assume that he's a bad one or whatever. So do you believe that it should be that they should start teaching police officers?
I believe that the training should go a little bit, not on the lines of, oh, you have this suspect. You should basically train them as if race was not an issue. Like, race has no color. Like, when you're giving them a description, give them height, weight, you know what I'm saying, eye color, hair color, and then skin color. You know what I'm saying? Like, that should be the last piece of detail that you give them. Like, you should give them everything else so that they don't generalize. Because if you give them everything else, then they have to actually think and picture somebody and move them in a certain way, in a certain light. So I feel like they should focus less on, more focused on diffusing the situation and less on protecting, like, themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, my thing is, as a cop, you go into this job knowing that there's a potential danger.
Yeah.
You should do your best. Before you fire your weapon, you defuse a situation. Point blank period. You defuse it to its best ability, and then you fire.
Mm-hmm.
If you can no longer defuse it, then I can understand you shooting. And even when you shoot, I would not. They also training police officers in the military manner is never okay, because military manner, we're trained to kill. We're not trained to hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, police officers be trained to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
More so like wounding, not like
Yeah.
shooting center mass,
Yeah.
but like shooting for a leg, shooting for an arm,
Mm-hmm.
shooting, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
shooting for things that won't cause trauma. And you know what I'm saying? Like, and then they also need to know when to shoot and when not to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Like the young lady that got killed during a drug raid, she was 10. She didn't know any better. Like, she's letting sleep on a couch and you still fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you didn't hear a gunshot, you shouldn't have fired. That's another thing I think about training should happen. Like, they should hear a gunshot before they shoot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's just inevitable. Or see a physical weapon
Yeah.
before they shoot.
Have you like ever talked to any police officers about this situation and stuff, or?
Yeah, we actually had a forum in the Black Student Union where we sat down with the police chief and the Minneapolis police chief and UMPD. So we sat down and had these conversations with them on race and bias of the students on campus and the students of color, the race and bias and the crime alerts, and the fact that we get those 24 hours later, not right when we need to have them when that person is on the campus.
Mm-hmm.
We get it after the fact. And so because we're getting it after the fact, it doesn't smell good. So you're just creating a society of fear around people of color, especially our male African American students on campus.
Mm-hmm. So, I know recently there was, I actually probably saw it on your Facebook wall too, like, that you probably shared, about Who's Say, I think they were called, or whatever, like,
Who's
student,
University?
yeah, and like how they went
Who's
to
Diversity?
Who's Diversity, how they went to the president's
Mm-hmm.
office and demand that they remove the race from the crime descriptions when they send
Yes,
out those
they did.
emails. Like, how do you feel about, like, about that situation? Like, what were your
I feel like
thoughts?
that was a very effective way of getting change, because we had all reported to President Kaler and Provost Denita Young Brown, and we had already expressed that this was not an acceptable way, and the change that they were trying to make was going too slow. Whereas when they took over the office, that change was made immediately. Like, literally a week later, they started changing the way the descriptions were put into the crime alerts. They made it an option to look at, not like automatically in it. Like, you can click on a link and it'll go to the description.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that was the best effective way, because the only way to make change is to force change.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can't expect things to change on their own. And a protest is always peaceful. A sit-in is always peaceful. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have students going in there and rioting and tearing up the president's office. You just had students going in there and sitting down and refusing to move.
Mm-hmm.
Peaceful protests are always the best form of social action.
So this is probably like the last question, but damn, I forgot what I was gonna ask. So I guess really there's a lot of like I don't want to say misconception, but there's a lot of, I guess you can say, like, white people are complaining about black people always like playing the victim card,
Mm-hmm.
and how they always say that, and even like white people saying that even reverse racism is real. Like, what are you, and just like that conversation has been brought up like a lot, you know, since with recent events in Ferguson and whatnot. Like, what do you think? Like, do you think that us black folks are playing the victim cards too much, or
No,
do you think that we need to play it more? Or?
I believe that the media plays it up more than African Americans actually playing the race card, because very few of us like to use our race as leverage.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, when it comes to reverse racism, there's no such thing as reverse racism, because unfortunately, people of color do not have power in this country. Yes, just because we have one black president, there are checks and balances to our government.
Yeah.
He can't do something without Congress knowing. Congress can't do something without him knowing. The House of Representatives can't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? And all of those positions are held by predominantly a white America. So reverse racism is not possible, because the only way we can reverse the racism is for us to be in power and for us to enslave them. That's when reverse racism plays a role. And then the whole black people play the victim card. No, we play the cards we're dealt. We use what we have. And at this point, a lot of people only give us that card. Instead of giving us the card of, okay, well, this woman's not complaining because she's black. She's complaining because there's actually something wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's actually a problem.
Yeah.
Forget the race and just pay attention to the fact that, guess what? This woman, you don't know what color she is, got shot by a police officer for no reason. This child, no matter what color they are, got shot by a police officer for no reason. Don't put the color on it. Just put the person by itself together. Anywhere, you know what I'm saying? So, it's just, I don't understand how people can say, oh, we play the victim, take race out of it, and just look at the situations. The situations speak for themselves.
That was perfect. Okay, thanks.
You
I would definitely do that.